do you follow that?
I know. Potato gun, that's a tough one.
We have no weapons, at least as far as I know. We have no T-shirts, I'm afraid, to give away. Chris, thanks for being here. Firstly, it's great to have you here.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Really appreciate you joining us this morning. Why don't we kick off? Maybe you could talk a little bit about your role and what you do for AWS.
Sure. Yeah, so Chris Grews, I run technology partnerships for AWS. And so what that means is anybody that's part of our Amazon Partner Network, that's a ISV, it could be a data provider, all the chip manufacturers, they all are covered by my organization from a go-to-market perspective. So been with AWS now for about 9 years, and that also includes a lot of the marketplace activity that we do with you as well.
And throughout those 9 years, I think you've been involved in the relationship we've got.
So. Absolutely, yeah. No, so I think if I go all the way back to 9 years ago, if I look at Teradata, you were one of our first competency partners for our data analytics practice. You were an original marketplace partner first with an Amazon Machine Image, and then obviously launching SaaS. And you've done a number of integrations over the years. You've got some really good ones. The one that we've been doing a lot of activity on recently is SageMaker as an example. And of course, we have what we call a strategic collaboration agreement. And this is an agreement that really defines how we work together as two organizations as we go to market. And it really defines what is our plan as we go and meet with joint customers. And also involves a lot of the Teradata migration cloud practices that we also have in place, as well as leveraging the AWS migration competencies as well.
Yeah, and one of the things we're really proud of is, to start things off, the number of migrations we've successfully done together. When Billy talked a lot about the value of being in the cloud from a security perspective, there's many things I think we would talk to in terms of that collaboration. Just a statistic for you, we've done more than 130 cloud migrations together over the last couple of years. That's roughly one a weekend. That's the rate of migrations that we're getting through together. As you think about the customers that we serve together, and I know you're heavily involved in data modernization conversations like we are, how do you start that conversation from an AWS perspective?
Yeah, it's interesting. When you look at AWS, we've quickly become a $100 billion division of Amazon. And one of the top workloads that we see our customers use with AWS is data and analytics, right? We have over 1.5 million customers that are doing some sort of database analytics or some kind of machine learning activity with AWS services. And while we have a portfolio of technologies in that area, we rely on third-party technology partners like Teradata to really complement what our customers want to do. And that was really the driving force behind us developing Amazon Partner Network, which is now over a 10-year program and has grown over the years. We have 130,000 active partners in that program, and it's a global program. And Teradata is really part of that core kind of practice area, what helps our customers when they're doing these advanced analytics. And so we really rely on technology partners like Teradata. And then to provide a common framework for all of our partners and our customers, we have what we call the Cloud Adoption Framework. And this is a practice area that we've developed over the last 15 years that really combines all the experience that we've gained moving customers to the cloud, what are those best practices, and then providing accelerators that then people can leverage and templates that they can actually go move very quickly. And so it's a nice way to provide kind of a common framework across how we work with all of our partners and all of our customers. And when I look at Teradata, you guys are a mission critical system. You're used to working with very high SLAs, systems that flat out can't go down. And so you bring a very nice complement to what we do with AWS.
Yeah, and a really good example of that, we were talking backstage, is we have a shared client called the Very Group, who are an online retailer in the UK. For those of you that don't know them, they're a $2.2 billion online retailer, 160,000 SKUs, 2,000 brands, 4.5 million customers in the UK. Pure play digital retailer, they're really focused on the value of their data. They've got one of the deepest consumer-focused data sets in the UK, and they've modernized that environment with Teradata VantageCloud on AWS. They use ClearScape, which you've heard a lot about, but they also use SageMaker, initially to focus on product demand optimization, so really thinking about forecasting out into the future, reducing supply chain friction, improving the personalized shopping experience, driving up huge improvement in revenue. Actually, they spoke at this event in London, and they talked about the second use case they're working on, which is around product descriptions. They have a small team of people that write product descriptions. They have 160,000 products. So the maths doesn't really work, and they're looking at how they can use analytics and AI capabilities from our two organizations to automate the development of those product descriptions. And a huge value of that comes from minimizing returns, that people know what they're buying, and they tend to be happy with what they receive through the post, and therefore they send less product back, which obviously is a great margin play for an organization like the Very Group.
Yeah, and it's, the good thing about that study is there's a couple programs that you actually leverage from AWS as part of that effort. And so the first one is a program we call workload migration. And this is a program that we've put in place for partners like Teradata where, invariably customers don't just move everything overnight, right? There is a migration effort and it can sometimes take a while. And what that means for our customers is they're running duplicate environments, and that can be a cost in the short term, even though there's the benefits in the long term. And so workload migration is a program that really helps kind of offset that cost structure as they're migrating to AWS. So as Teradata has customers that do want to take advantage of that, they can go do that. And we've had some really good success. When we look at that 130 customer list that you've got, over, I think 26% of those were in financial services. Obviously, that's a big practice area for Teradata, but 15% were in retail, 13% were in manufacturing, and then we've also got good examples in telco, media and entertainment, healthcare, life sciences, and so on. And so, really good cross-section of different customers that have leveraged that program.
We should probably talk about marketplace as well in that context.
Absolutely. And so that, when we look at those 130 customers, 122 of those actually leverage AWS Marketplace as part of that migration. When we look at AWS Marketplace, it is the primary route to market that we use for all of our third-party technologies coming into AWS. And Teradata has been a long-time customer of that. And it just provides a ton of benefit. It goes directly on the AWS bill. Customers can view everything going on with their first-party services alongside third-party services. And so there's all this great automation that comes from Marketplace. And so it's really cool to see with the Very Group example that they leverage both Marketplace as well as workload migration.
Yeah, and I mean, there's a few takeaways we hope you get from this session, but one of them, I think, which we'll keep coming back to, is the confidence we have in that migration motion together. We've done so many around the world in so many industries. We do them almost every weekend, as I said. We have a lot of confidence in taking our customers on that journey together. Of course, the migration is one thing. What happens after that is often most interesting. But one of the things that's also come up regularly in this event, I think, is deployment optionality. Whether you want to move things to the cloud, you want to move things to some sort of hybrid environment, whether you want to go private. I guess you guys have a point of view on that.
We do, yeah. And it's interesting, obviously, we have a very strong point of view on that, but we always work backwards from our customers. And so we're always going to figure out what they need to do and try to work backwards from that. And so one of the things that we do with our customers when they do want to start these migration journeys is we will go through a cloud maturity assessment. And so that's where we sit down with that customer and we determine what is their cloud readiness, what skill sets do they have, and then we also do an assessment of their portfolio. What things are easy to move, what things might take a little bit more time, and what are going to be the most difficult components. And really mapping that out kind of from an easy to a very complex piece. And then also helping define why they're going to the cloud, right? Are they going to the cloud because they're trying to save money? Are they going to the cloud because they want to get that efficiency? They want to get that agility, which is actually the biggest driver of moving to the cloud. Are they going because of regulatory compliance? Do they want to have the compliance standards that we have built into the platform, or elasticity? So there's all these different benefit drivers that we see going to the cloud, and it's very important to map that to the customer journey so that we know what they want, and then we know exactly what we need to deliver as a result.
Yeah, and I think as Billy said, some of those attributes that you described, we're very confident in how we support that from within our platform. Running in the AWS environment enhances that, I think, for our customers. We're on a good journey in respect of that.
Yeah, absolutely.
One of the case studies that, actually, Steve yesterday was with Russell from New York Giants. Giants use the AWS platform with Teradata as well. Their focus is more on the analytics side, as you heard him talk about. So not so much workload migration, but more about how can they enrich the customer experience and leverage that data set that they've built. They were looking to tap into kind of behavioral and transactional and demographic data to identify opportunities to serve their clients better. That was all delivered in the ClearScape environment within Teradata, within AWS.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, the ClearScape stuff has been a great piece for AWS as well. And so, there's some great examples of that, right? We love seeing the examples that you've got, like the New York Giants. You talked about that as an example. A little bit of a bitter one from you, obviously, being a Seahawks fan and not lost on the weekend.
As an Englishman, but I'm sure that's a rivalry.
Yeah, hopefully the Seahawks will be leveraging that same analytics capabilities here for the next game. So, yeah.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit about the migration motion and the analytics capability that is very rich within both of our platforms. It would be unusual to do a conversation like this without talking a little bit about generative AI. Obviously, it's been a theme throughout this conference and obviously within the industry for some time now. We are together hugely focused on how we collaborate to drive innovation around the capabilities of AI, both within the Teradata platform, but of course also within Bedrock. And we presented together on this. There's been lots of seminars, there's some events this week talking about that. Maybe you could talk a little bit about the emerging AI use cases that you see.
Yeah, it's interesting. From an AWS perspective, we see just about every one of our customers will be eventually transformed by Gen AI. And we're seeing these use cases pop up across the board. It could be customer service, it could be operations. We use our own generative AI capabilities internally. For Marketplace, as an example, we have a whole operations team. And when you submit, a ticket, in effect, to get something changed on your listing, that goes into a queue and follows a typical process. We now use generative AI to actually take that ticket from that customer. We can actually read that email. We then go across all of our knowledge bases, and then we can actually summarize that ticket and actually provide that, an automated response back to that call center agent, so now they can respond to that. And so our SLAs that could be days or even weeks for certain levels of customers within Marketplace are now gone. We wiped out the entire ticket queue, and so we use it internally, but we also see a lot of good examples externally as well.
And you have this 3-pillar approach, right, within AWS?
Correct.
Maybe we could talk a bit about that.
Yeah, and so when we look at our strategy, the AWS strategy is really built on 3 tiers. So first of all is the kind of what we call the kind of almost the infrastructure tier itself, which is where we develop our own chips. One of the things that a lot of people don't realize with AWS is we have our own chip manufacturing capability. And one of the things that we've been able to do is actually customize the chips themselves to actually handle generative AI workloads. So Inferentia is really good for any kind of workloads doing inference, and then we have our Trainium chipset, which is really when you're training large data models. And so we have a chip layer at the very foundational layer that we kind of build on top of. On top of that, we then have our frameworks. And so we have SageMaker, which has been our AI ML kind of library that provides all kinds of algorithms and models that we can then use with customers. And then, of course, that's where Bedrock sits as well. And Bedrock is great because we don't feel like one foundational model will eventually win outright. We think it's going to be a selection experience. And so we look at that as a great opportunity for us to provide the governance and guardrails around foundational models and feed those to customers, to our partners, via APIs with the Bedrock interface. And then, of course, for customers that just want something that they actually want to run and go and do something with, that's where we have our Q franchise. And in Q, we have both Q for developers, which is a tool that really does code augmentation, allows you to develop code very quickly, and then also Q for business, which is really the primitives that you need to go do a chatbot. So if you want to instantly put a chatbot into your experience, you can go do that. And when we look at those 3 layers, we're starting to see some really good examples across a variety of industries. When we look at financial services as an example, MasterCard, which I'm sure a lot of you have those cards in your wallet right now, they're using our Bedrock capabilities. And what they've done is they've actually been able to increase the ability to identify fraud 3 times greater than they used to by leveraging generative AI. And they're also reducing their false positives by 10x. And so just really good example, a nice tangible example of people using generative AI within their solutions. We see the same thing with healthcare. So if you take a look at 3M, we had a couple examples earlier today where you can see the power. You want your doctors talking to the patients. Like, we don't want our doctors talking, looking and kind of doing reporting. And if you actually go and interview a physician, there's a lot of work that goes into just summarizing all the test results and what happened in that meeting. And they're not actually spending time with patients. They're actually spending time in their own back office doing summarization. And they're using Gen AI to actually summarize those capabilities. And then there's other novel examples like Booking.com, where we're seeing, they're a travel site, and they're now able to provide personalized travel experiences to their customers much more than they ever could have in the past. And what that means is it actually translates into money. Those customers are now buying those travel packages a lot quicker because the personalized aspect of what they're getting is customized exactly to what their needs are based off of their historical travel patterns and the things that they're actually browsing within the interface.
And one of the things that's interesting about this partnership in that context that we're talking about a lot is Teradata. We have about 130 kind of standard use cases associated with the Teradata platform. That might be supply chain analytics, it might be customer intimacy, it might be, regulatory reporting, it might be CFO analytics, you name it. We have all these use cases associated with how our customers have deployed our platform over time. We're really excited about how we work with AWS to integrate our shared AI technology.
Absolutely.
Think about the concepts of scale that we've been talking about and how that applies within our platform and within yours. I think we're very excited about what that means for the future.
Oh yeah, I think we're just scratching the surface. Like, we've identified 47 different use cases across a variety of different industries for our Gen AI use cases. We've had a lot of collaboration with Teradata. We think there's some really cool things that we can do based off of your history and your heritage with these large financial institutions. And so It's a really exciting time to be partners with Teradata. We're really excited to be here and looking forward to the future.
Absolutely, and perhaps just to summarize, there's probably three aspects to this partnership that we've covered today. The first is the migration motion, and hopefully you get a sense of our confidence and the regularity with which we execute that with our clients. We're looking forward to those of you that are considering that journey. We'd welcome that conversation, and we have lots of tools and techniques and mechanisms within contracts that can make that an attractive and easy journey. The second is the modernization piece. We've talked about that. How do you use analytics? How do you change your data architecture? We've got some great conversations we're having with customers and great outcomes we're delivering. And then the third is around AI, and particularly in the context of business outcomes, of the solutions that we can enable together.
Yep, absolutely.
So Chris, thanks for coming today. Thanks for sharing that.
All right.
We're really proud of the relationship. It's great to have you here as a reflection of that, and we look forward to what we're going to achieve together.
Well, thank you very much for having me here.
Thank you. Thanks for that.